listening to your show.
The point that there's limited news
I just
coverage.
want to know what your viewpoint is.
Because major news organizations have been told on, what they can report on.
The people's voice. I am Trey Evans, and I am the people's voice. Thanks for checking me out again this week. I appreciate it. You guys are really giving me a lot of support, which is fantastic. I'm glad that I've been able to cover several topics the last couple of weeks that seems to have a lot of interest for those of you who are listening. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys spreading the word about the podcast. The podcast is available on all streaming platforms. And so, you can tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. If you want to make any comment to me directly, you can reach out to me on any of the social platforms. At Instagram, I am Trey Evans at Instagram. I am Trey Evans on Twitter. You can also reach me on Facebook at Trey Evans, and of course the YouTube page Trey Evans, which has great content. I know that's a shameless plug, but I think it's great content. In addition to the podcast, I also, for some of you who may not know, I do a lot of voice over work and also create a lot of motivational content. So on that channel, you will find this podcast along with that content that I previously produced. Sorry, I just hit the mic. And that I continue to produce. Matter of fact, I'll be coming out with a new project in June called Freedom. So, I'll definitely be telling you guys about that, and you can check that out when you get a chance. Again, thank you for all of the support. So this week, I want to cover or discuss a holiday that I think is near and dear to everyone who is listening, right? There is not a human being on the face of the earth that does not have one of these. And the person, I shouldn't say thing, but what I am talking about are mothers. We all have mothers. They are the bearers of life. They are the ultimate protectors of life. And, they are to be honored, right? That's just my personal opinion about mothers. And, of course, I have a mother and love my mother dearly. And so today I wanted to get into the holiday of Mother's Day. Now, as you guys could probably tell with these subjects that I but that I research, I'm definitely looking at the subject matter probably with a different lens than most people, or not most people, but a lot of people, because I'm always curious about the why. Like, why was this day created? Because so many things in our day-to-day life we just accept as normal and as just part of our lives because, we were told that you have to celebrate this day, or we were told that you had to, be this way in terms of your personality, or just in general, right? I mean, just general things. I mean, even like, wearing clothes. Like, somebody had to tell you to wear clothes, right? You're just not born into, it's not an innate habit, right? You learn through your mother, of course, putting clothes on you and things of that nature. But I'm getting sidetracked. What I'm trying to dial in on is that I wanted to talk today about Mother's Day, and specifically the commercialization of Mother's Day. Because although, as I, just previously said, I, definitely adore my mom and want to always, make sure that I honor her on the designated day that has been given to us. At the same time, I wanted to know, well, where did the day come from? Why are we celebrating Mother's Day? Like, what? There's got to be something behind it. And sure enough, I did research and found out some interesting facts about Mother's Day. So I'm going to kind of walk through the history of Mother's Day and then kind of get into the commercialization of Mother's Day. And I think it'd be enlightening for many people, just as it was for me. So to start, I wanted to find out, well, when was Mother's Day originally put together? Or when was Mother's Day originally started, if you will? So I did a little bit of research, and this is what I found out. Now, there is let me go back a little bit. So throughout time, and millions of years, there has always been some form of honor or praise given to mothers. If you look at Greek philosophy and Egyptian history and Roman history, and you will find various symbolisms or examples of how women were honored. But I wanted to focus on Mother's Day as the holiday that we know it, and wanted to get an understanding of how that was established. So here in the United States, the official beginning of Mother's Day is credited to a woman named Anna Jarvis. Anna Jarvis. And she is designated as the person who, or I should say, is credited as the one who started Mother's Day here in America. And the story reads that back in 1905, Anna decided that she wanted to honor her mother that had passed away, and she wanted to honor her by giving her a Mother's Day celebration. And the Mother's Day celebration took place at an Episcopal church in West Virginia. And during this memorial to her mother, or this honoring of her mother, she had 500 white carnation, and those are flowers, white carnation flowers, sent to the church to honor her mother in what some call the official beginning of Mother's Day in the United States. Now, before Anna Jarvis began what is known as the original Mother's Day, or I should say what is known as Mother's Day today, there was actually another Mother's Day celebration that was proclaimed or promoted before Anna Jarvis in 1905. So in 1870, a woman by the name of Julia Ward Howe, who was an abolitionist and a writer, a poet, she promoted and proclaimed that there should be what they called a Mother's Peace Day. And she wanted to have that day celebrated because she wanted to bring mothers from around the world to unite them to promote world peace. She was against the Civil War, and she wanted to bring mothers together from all around the world to unite to discuss and to demonstrate for world peace. So Mother's Peace Day, even though it's not acknowledged as the official Mother's Day as we know it here in the United States, in 1870, Julia Ward Howe did also suggest and tried to create a Mother's Day celebration here in the United States. But getting back, the Mother's Day that we know today was, again, put forth by Anna Jarvis. And Anna Jarvis wanted to do this for two reasons. One, she wanted to honor her mother. As I said, in 1905, when her mother passed, she thought that that would be the best way to honor her mother. But also because her mother had talked about doing a celebration decades before to celebrate mothers, to honor mothers, and to praise mothers for their support and hard work with raising their families. But after 1905, Anna Jarvis, who again is credited with starting Mother's Day as we know it here in the United States today, she then began a campaign to make Mother's Day an official celebration. And she was quite, based on some of the research that I've read, she was quite the marketer. And she went to various institutions to promote and to get the Mother's Day recognized as an official holiday. She went to politicians and to newspapers. She went to businesses, especially florists, to see if she can have the day celebrated for women around the world. Now, by 1912, and I'm reading an article from history.com, so I want to make sure I give credit. By 1912, many states, towns, and churches actually began to celebrate Mother's Day and treat it as an annual holiday. And matter of fact, around the same time, Anna Jarvis also established the Mother's Day International Association, and it helped to promote her fight to make Mother's Day a permanent holiday throughout the United States. Well, in 1914, all of her work began to pay off, because what ended up happening was former President Woodrow Wilson actually is credited, and some people refer to him as the father of Mother's Day, and Anna Jarvis is considered the mother of Mother's Day. In 1914, former President Woodrow Wilson signed a measure, and he officially established the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day. And so from there, Mother's Day begins. Now, basically everything that I've read so far and researched and just discussed, this holiday was designed and created with the intention of just honoring mothers. That's it. Now we go from this short period in 1905 to 1914 when it's officially acknowledged. So that's like a 9-year period. Or even if you want to go back further, when Julia Ward Howe created or promoted Mother's Peace Day in 1870. We go from the day being sought out to just honor mothers and really just pour praise onto them, to the holiday that we know today, which is nowhere near what was originally decided, or I should say, was nowhere near the initial motivations to start Mother's Day. So now let's get into some numbers. Okay. So, well, let me finish. So, finishing up on Anna Jarvis. So Anna Jarvis, she saw this start to go left, right? She's the one that promoted it, created it. She sees that the day is now turning into something that she did not anticipate, right? By 1920, again, I'm reading an article from history.com. She becomes just absolutely disgusted and disgruntled with the commercialization of the day. She begins to just be very vocal about, what the day has become. She begins to, set up campaigns to urge people to stop buying Mother's Day flowers and cards and candies. She, didn't want to work with the florists anymore. And it's really a tragic story. This woman was so bent on getting the day back. Now, let me just sidebar for a second and say, she also wanted to be credited with creating Mother's Day, but she didn't get that. But that's a different part of the story. But she was sincerely passionate about getting the day back, or making the day what she had hoped it was to be, which was for just mothers just to be honored and praised. The commercialization of it was not something that she anticipated or wanted. And she launched lawsuits. Like I said, she was vocal. She demonstrated. She wrote letters and protest businesses to try to get them to stop. But by that time, of course, as you guys know, it was too late. Cat's out the bag. Trains left the station, and money talks, and what walks. So, unfortunately, by the time of her death in 1948, she totally didn't want to be associated with the holiday. And she spent a lot of her money because apparently she had gained an inheritance after her death. I'm not sure if it was her husband or her mother, but she had gotten an inheritance, and she had used a lot of that money to not only promote Mother's Day in the beginning when she was trying to get it signed as a national holiday, but then towards the end of her life, she used that same money to try to fight off these lawsuits and to bring lawsuits. And unfortunately, she died, as they say in the article, penniless and by herself in a sanitarium. Now, she never had children of her own, which is really it's really unfortunate that someone who was this passionate about honoring mothers, unfortunately, didn't have that opportunity, and then her life, spent the rest of her life trying to restore that initial feeling, and to die penniless in a sanitarium, it's definitely a sad end. Now, she lived to be 84 years old, so she lived an entire life. But, many have said, based on the research, that that was the one thing that she just couldn't let go of. She couldn't let go of that. So that's how Mother's Day in the United States was created. Officially, Anna Jarvis. Unofficially, Julia Ward. Y'all can research it. Now, I want to get into the commercialization and the hijacking of Mother's Day. Now, picking up from where Miss Anna Jarvis left off, she sees that it's going left. She's not happy with it. And that brings us to today. And when I started to pull up the data on some of these numbers about the amount of money that's spent, it was mind blowing. So currently today, Mother's Day in the United States, and let me just say, Mother's Day is celebrated around the world now as a result of the establishment of Mother's Day in the United States. And when I say celebrated, I mean like as an official holiday. But I'll talk about that in a minute. But getting to the money, Mother's Day in the United States, about $30 billion is spent every year on Mother's Day. And that varies from all type of gifts, anything from flowers to gift cards to meals, just general cards. Almost $30 billion every year is spent on, well, I should say that's the current amount. You know that amount is going to go up. $30 billion a year. Now, another interesting fact. Average American, and this is from Fox 26 in Houston. I'm reading from an article. On average, Americans will spend $225 on Mother's Day gifts this year. Okay? Now, and I know this for a fact, and this is not just some stat. This is a fact. Okay? I can vouch for this. It also goes on to say that men plan to spend about $276 in Mother's Day gifts. And in general, and I'm quoting here from the article, in general, men plan to give Mother's Day gifts more often than women. Oh, go figure. But not going to get into that. So, yeah, on average, each American will spend about $225 this year. So, $30 billion a year on Mother's Day gifts. And this is just in the United States, right? I'm not even talking about around the world, because in other countries around the world, like I said, this Mother's Day is celebrated. In the UK, they celebrate Mother's Day. Brazil, Germany, Japan, Australia, Peru, France, Ethiopia, Serbia, India. I mean, pretty much everywhere across the globe, Mother's Day is celebrated in some form or fashion. Now, in many of these other countries, a lot of it is about time spent and doing things for their mother, but still, there are still quite a number of celebrations in each of these countries, and money that is being spent to honor their mother. So I am on the fence, right? Because I've clearly celebrated Mother's Day for decades now, to honor my mother, to honor my daughter's mother, to honor my sister, friends. Like, I know a lot of mothers. And so I kind of like Anna Jarvis, I wish we could go back to a time where we could just be genuine about honoring our mothers or honoring mothers. And I know it's more of a personal choice, more of a personal decision on how you want to celebrate, because I do know individuals who don't participate in the, I guess, the commercialization part of it. But I really feel like the commercialization of Mother's Day really dilutes the day. It really is. It's the commercialization of holidays just in general, for me, really leave a sour taste in my mouth. I gotta admit it. It's kind of like a check off on the calendar, more like a task. Hey, it's Mother's Day, so take the time to say Happy Mother's Day. Do something that doesn't cost any money. And what doesn't cost any money, well, it all costs money. I was going to say call your mother, but that costs money. Drive over to see your mother, that costs money. But it doesn't hurt to be kind. And, in all seriousness, it is Mother's Day, so I want to say Happy Mother's Day to my mother. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that are in my life in terms of my friends and my daughter's mother and my sister and so on and so forth. But in all sincerity, happy Mother's Day. You guys are definitely the glue to our families and to the development in our children and what they eventually will go out into society and become. And your work is definitely sometimes under-recognized, but never underappreciated, at least by myself. And I'm sure there are many, many men around the world who feel the same. But that is my time for today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast. As always, dreams are not just for sleeping. Please wake up and live your dreams. My name is Trey Evans, the people's voice. Tell somebody about the dream. Salute. People's voice.